Hello, and welcome to another How to OU at USU. If you've been following along, in our last video, we looked at how to create a form in OU campus. In today's video, we're going to look at how to take those form submissions that we're getting emails for and to make what I call a Google Sheet tracker, which is we're going to take all of those submissions and get them to automatically save to a Google Sheet document for us. So that way we can share that with our team, so that way we can all stay on top of who has completed the survey and needs to be added to the drawing, stuff like that. If nothing else, super helpful just for keeping track of everybody that has submitted this form. And you can do this with any form. I'm just going to show you the basic process. So we already have our form asset in OU campus. I have the file checked out and I'm in edit mode. We won't go over how to make it. We'll just go on from where we were. We're going to go down to this email messages section. And I'm going to turn off include all submitted values. And then I'm also going to change the body of the email. So when you create these forms in OU campus, you are collecting all of this data and you can include that data in your email messages. So what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of that fact and specify exactly what we want in our email. That's going to go to our designated email account, and then we're going to have that email do some computations for us and then just put that data into a Google Sheet for us. This will only work if you're using a Gmail account too, so kind of be aware of that. If you need it to work with Outlook or something, you'll have to come up with something more creative. Good luck, have fun. But if you already have like a designated Gmail account that you can use for these sorts of things, then this will work pretty good for you. So the way we get the data that our user has provided is we're going to go into our email body and we're going to go curly bracket, and then we're going to specify the name of the field that we want to get the data from. So for the name label, we have the name, all in lowercase. So we'll type in name, curly bracket. And you can see that the WYSIWYG tries to help you out a little bit. So let's look at that real quick. If I go curly bracket, it'll try to give me a list of everything that is currently available in this form, and then I can just click that and it'll finish it out for me. Okay, so what will happen if we save right now and publish this is that the next time somebody fills out this form, we will get an email to this email account that has just their name. Now that's not particularly useful because we want to get some other information from them as well. And then we want that information to get saved into a Google Sheet for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the rest of the fields. So we will get that phone, and then we'll get our favorite social media, and then we'll get our least favorite social media. Okay? And for now, let's go ahead and save that. Okay. So we're not going to publish it just yet. In the last video, we tested this and sent an email. We're going to go to our actual Gmail account and we're going to look at that. Because we can specify what the subject is and stuff, we can set up some filters that'll help us out. There are three parts to this, right? There's the OU campus part, which we did in the last video, and then there's the Gmail part and the Google Sheets part. And we want our Gmail account to talk with our Google Sheets account, so that way they can save that information from these emails into a Google Sheet for us. So I'm going to open up that email. You'll notice it's in a different format. That's fine for this for now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to more, and I want to filter messages like these. I'll specify who the from is, and I can also specify that subject. I don't remember what we actually use for the subject. So social media survey 2021. So since I know every single email is going to always have that subject, social media survey 2021, I can set up a filter that matches that exact subject line, and then it'll just filter it for me. So I'll create the filter. And then what do I want it to do? Well, I want it to skip the inbox because I don't want to see it, because I'm going to get a whole bunch of these hopefully, because everybody's going to fill out this awesome survey. So I don't want it to get in the way. But I do want to star it, and I'll go over why we need to star it a little bit later. We can mark it as red. We don't have to. I'm not going to worry about that. But we also want to apply the label. So we need to create a new label. So we're going to choose a label, and then we'll click New Label. And we'll create that now. We'll call it Social Media Survey 2021. It could really be anything. I prefer to use snake case for this as well. If you use snake case, it'll work. If you use something else, it might not. You'll have to kind of test it and play with it on your own. From there, we're going to create that. So what that'll do is when I get the email, right, it's going to automatically skip the inbox, add a star to it, and put it in a specific label. Very good. I never want it to send to spam. I don't need it to be marked as important, so I won't worry about those ones. Categorize, I'm not going to worry about that, and I will apply it to the one matching current conversation. We'll create that filter now. Cool. So all we've done is set it up so that way we get emails and they go to a label. How does that get it into a Google Sheet, right? It doesn't. So what we need to do now is go to our Google Sheets. So I've accessed my Google Drive. I'm going to go ahead and go to sheets.google.com. And we could take the whole tour and stuff. I don't need that right now, so we'll skip that. And we will start a new spreadsheet. And this is where we want that data to ultimately go. And since it's for our social media survey, I'm actually going to name it Social Media Survey. Maybe I plan on using the same one in the future, so I'll just leave it named as that. I don't know. Again, I like to use snake case for a lot of these, so you don't have to. It should still work. Cool. So we have emails, and we have a Google Sheet. Now what? What we're going to do now is we're going to add a little bit of code, a little bit of JavaScript to our Google Sheet. So that way, that JavaScript will go into our email. We'll give it permission and stuff. It'll get a list of all of the emails under a particular label, and then it'll loop through those. And if any of them are new, it will add them to this Google Sheet. And if they're not new, then it'll just sort of skip over them. And you can see I have the source code for that over here. I'll try and include that link to GitHub in the description, so look for that. It's just on my GitHub channel, or not channel, just my GitHub account, and it's just under How to OU at USU. If you copy that URL, you'll get there right away. So you're probably thinking, cool, that's awesome, except for how do I actually do that? How do I add JavaScript to a Google Sheet? And it's actually really simple. We're going to go to our one of these. We are going to go to, oh, they've moved items to more relevant positions. Oh, so they moved everything, so that way I would be nice and confused for this. Got it. Anyway, what we'll do is we will go to apps script under extensions. So they have moved where that is, but that's fine. We're going to add an app script. And we can title this project. We'll just keep titling it the same as what we've titled everything else, which is Social Media Survey. And we'll rename that. And then we'll take this source code that is over here in GitHub that I've written for you guys, for everybody. We'll copy that over here, and we'll paste it in. And then we'll just kind of look through these to-dos and kind of go through what the actual code is doing. So we have an optional to-do right off the bat. We can update that function name. So we could call it something like, I don't know, save social media description to sheet. Okay, doesn't matter what you call that. You could leave it as my function if you want. And then I like to delete my to-dos as I go, so I'll just go ahead and delete those. The next thing that we do have to do is we need to put the URL of the Google Sheet that we want to save the data to. So we'll go back to our Google Sheet. and we're just going to grab that URL, copy that real quick, and we will paste that in here. And then we need to go into our labels. So I got to go back to my Gmail account, and I got to figure out what that label was, which is right there. So I'm going to use the Control F to help me make sure I spell that perfectly correctly, because if it's not correct, it won't work. And then I will close that. I'll go back and I will paste in that label. Cool, so I can delete that to do because that's done, and I can delete that to do because that is done. Cool, so what is this script actually going to do? Great question. It's going to get a sheet, which is that URL, get a label within the Gmail app, and then it's going to create a thread of all of the things in that under that label. I'm going to loop through those, and then it's going to extract that information and append it to a sheet. And you can read all these comments and get an idea of what it's going to do. How is it going to know where to split the information by? It's going to use this awkward delimiter. So we haven't added that yet. So I'm going to copy that to my clipboard, so that way I have it. And I'm going to go back to my OU campus form, and I'm going to go back into edit mode. What I want to do is separate each of these fields that I want to collect with that delimiter. So I'm going to just paste that in. So I'm using this really weird sort of emoji-like thing because I highly doubt someone's going to accidentally type that in when they are submitting the form. And because it's so awkward and no one's going to type that unless it's intentional, that will give me a good way of separating the data, so that way it can be saved to individual columns within my Google Sheet. So it is space sensitive, so kind of be aware of that. So space and then D character, open parentheses, character, smiley face. You can use anything you want here. It does not matter, but whatever you use does need to match what you're using here in this info split. So if you change what your delimiter is, make sure that this matches whatever your OU campus form is. So right now I know they match. I'm going to save that. I'm going to publish that or send it for approval, whatever you need to do. And cool. So it just works now? Are we done? No, not quite. We're going to save the project because that's a good idea. And then we're going to go ahead and try to run the code initially. So when we first try to run the code, Google is going to see that there is not enough permissions. So we need to give access. So that way, there we go, give access so that way the script knows that it is okay for it to access our Gmail account and then take whatever it accesses and do something meaningful with that. So we're going to go into review permissions, and we're going to say right there that, yeah, we want that account to have permission to do the thing. Then Google's going to give us this scary warning that Google hasn't verified this app. And so if you're not comfortable with that, that's fine. You just won't be able to use this, and you'll just have to come up with something better. Good luck. Have fun. Otherwise, if you're cool with this, go ahead and click Advanced, and then continue only if you understand the risks and trust the developer. So you are the developer because you wrote this code. Google's just saying, hey, I don't know what this code is, and it's trying to ask for permission to your Gmail account and your Sheets account. Are you sure you want that? And so if you're not comfortable with that, then, don't use it, but we know what it's going to do because we specified, so hopefully it'll be okay. And so we'll click this Go to Social Media, and again, it's warning us that it's unsafe. So it's unsafe. Cool. And then we're going to allow. And what that does is that it'll start executing the code. Now that's great. So that ran once, and that's useful, but it only ran once. So anytime you want to update this, you would have to manually come in and run this, and that kind of defeats the whole point, right? And we can see it tries to parse that first email, but because it doesn't have that delimiter anywhere, it just puts everything in that first column, and then looks funky and doesn't quite work. So we'll delete all that. Cool. Let's make it so that way this will run at a little bit more regular intervals, so that way we don't have to come in here and manually run the script every single time, because that's just going to be a pain, right? The way we're going to do that is we're going to go over to this side menu and we're going to click on triggers, and we're going to just specify when we want to trigger this function. So just like in JavaScript, you would have to call the function. This is us specifying what action needs to happen to cause that function to execute. So we'll create a new trigger and we'll have it set to just run that function every single time the spreadsheet is opened, because that's by far the best way to do this. That way, every single time you open up that Google Sheet, it'll run the script and update and get you a copy of everybody that has filled it out. So we'll save that. And now we have that trigger for this project, and we should be good. And we can kind of go back through everything. I like to really save everything a couple times. And we should be good. So we'll go back to our Google Sheet and our Gmail account. You'll also get a security notice letting you know that, hey, a web app just got permission to use your Gmail account. Are you okay with that? And, you know, take advantage of those. Yeah. In the meantime, though, let's actually go ahead and test this out. So we'll come back to our actual form. And as a user, I'll just go ahead and fill this out. So I am John Doe, we'll say. John Doe, and John Doe's phone number is 123-456-7890. No 4 there. What is their favorite social media platform? The one with the thing. The one with the thing in it. It is really cool. I don't know. Snapchat. Nah, Snapchat's not cool. Facebook's really not cool. That's a different conversation. Bunch of crazies. All right, so, and least favorite, we'll just say the same thing because it really doesn't matter. Normally, a user would give real feedback, and we submit. Oh, we didn't provide enough details. If you remember from the last video, we have some regex in there that says, hey, you need to include 120 characters. So here, we'll add some more characters. We should have fixed that, but what? That's not 120 characters either. Interesting. Just keep adding text. Okay, cool. So there, the submission was successful. And if we go to our Gmail account and we refresh, we can see over here, we got a new email and it is currently starred, right? I didn't explain the star thing, so we'll go over that real quick. Then I go back to the Google Sheet where that information is supposed to be stored, but I haven't opened it. So that code that we wrote has not been triggered. So I'm going to open it by going to that URL again, and we'll let that script have a chance to run. And Google's giving us some more information. Got it. Cool. And we can see there it went ahead and pulled in. So we have the person's first name, all that stuff. So what I'll do is I'll create a row above and give some labels to this. We'll call it name, phone, favorite, and least favorite, favorite. All right. I'll fix my spelling errors. Favorite. All right. Cool. And then we can style that up a little bit, make it look kind of nice. Cool. Favorite, least favorite. We don't need any of these other columns, so we can delete them or do whatever you want with them. But that's all we need. And I don't know, people like to see these in bold, so bold them, maybe make them a little bigger, whatever you need to do. And that is it. Every single time somebody submits this form, so here let's go and say Jane Oed. Eod. You know, Jane Doe backwards. Say that this individual doesn't want to be included in the drawing for the prize or whatever. And we'll paste in some text. Doesn't really matter. It would normally be different, whatever. Also, normally wouldn't need to be 120 characters, but that's not the point. And then we come back here, and again, in order to trigger the JavaScript to run, we would just need to open that again, and that will give the JavaScript a chance to run, execute, and add them to the actual submission. So as you can see, Jane Eode got added. So cool. The starring thing, I'll hurry and go over that, and then we'll finish up this video. So the starring thing removes the star from the actual emails, so that way we can tell if it is new or not. So how this JavaScript is working is it's saying, hey, give me access to Gmail, and then you've already said, yeah, sure. Cool. It finds this label, and then it just makes a list, basically just an array of everything in here, all of the threads, which are just emails, and then it looks and sees if the email is starred. If it's starred, then it knows it's new, and it adds it to the Google Sheet, and then removes the star. And if it's already not starred, because the star has already been taken off, then it knows, hey, we've already added this to the Google Sheet before, I'm not going to worry about it, and it'll just skip over it and go to the next one. And it'll just keep doing that until it's done. So if you're doing a survey like this and you get like a crap ton of people to fill it out all at once, and then you come in and check it, it might take a little bit longer for it to go through, load up all of the emails, and do the thing and get them all added. So that could take a minute or two. But hey, at least now you have an option of adding them to a Google Sheet, and then you can share that with, you know, whoever you're working with on your team and stuff, so that way they can have access to that data. And then you're not having to go in and manually pull all of the database form submissions and stuff in OU Campus. So hopefully that is helpful. Also, you may have noticed, if you're thinking kind of critically about this, this is not limited to just the OU Campus CMS. Any CMS that allows you to create a form that will send out an email, or anything that will allow you to send out an email, you could set up this script and get it to automatically pull whatever's in that email and put it in a Google Sheet for you. So hopefully that is helpful. All right, thanks. Bye.